What's up, everybody? It's your boy KG. We got episode 21 of Free Knowledge Podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. As always, make sure that you like, subscribe, and get ready to click that share button because we're going to have a lot of great content that we're talking over today. And this week's subject is actually entitled, Are You Ready for Marriage? So this is also catered to people that are in dating as well. But, I think the ultimate goal for everybody when you're looking at relationships is that you want to be married. So it's the different things that we're gonna focus on. It's gonna be the top 5 things that I suggest that help you with going into that process of saying, hey, am I truly ready to be married? So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So just to give you a little bit of background, me and my wife, we watch like a bunch of different marriage shows. And one of the ones that we watch that I'm not gonna lie, fellas, I know y'all out there, but um it's Married at First Sight. So we watched this show in the beginning when me and my wife first started dating. She used to tell me about the show. I would never watch it. I'm like, this stuff is fake. It's not real. So I really don't care about watching it because I'm not a big reality TV type of guy. So as we start dating, as you know, you date somebody, you start knowing them, you start watching different shows, y'all share each other's stuff, y'all watch stuff together. So we started watching the show, right? And so what I realized, and if you don't know the show, let me just give you a little quick background of it. So these two people don't know each other. They meet each other at the altar to say I do on that day. And then they get like 90 days or 60 days or something like that. And if I'm wrong, ladies, don't quote me, don't get mad at me. But this is the gist that I got from they meet each other on that day at the altar to say I do. And it's like the crazy part about it to me is that there's like 10 seasons, 12 seasons, if not more, right? But there's so many people who audition for this because they want to get married. And so that just kind of led to my mind like, wow, it is a lot of people who really want to get married. And for myself, I was included in that bucket as well before, I proposed to my wife, and it's just like I know that feeling. I know when you're single and you're like, man, like I just want to be married. I want to find that right person, that person that just gives me that feeling like, man, she the one or he the one. And you want to move forward. You want to grow old with that person. You want to have kids and grandkids. And you just want that feeling that you see when watch a Hallmark romantic movie, whatever it may be. You want that Martin Gina type love, whatever it may be. You want that. Like everybody wants that type of bond with their significant other. And so as I was looking at that, I was like, let me come up with the top 5 things that I would say, to ask yourself, like, am I truly ready for marriage? So I know that there's a lot of stuff going on also with, COVID, the pandemic. So the dating scene is kind of a little hazy right now for a lot of people. But I think that this is important because this might be time for you to reflect on yourself and also where you're going with your relationships in life to figure out what you need to do. So the first thing that I want to kind of touch on when we're thinking about the top 5 things of are you ready for marriage, like these are the things that you want to kind of go through with yourself. The first one is do you have a personal relationship with God? And that's a question that I'll throw out there to you guys just to think on all this information I'm going through, but truly think about that. Like, where is your relationship with God? If it's on a scale from 0 to 10, where would you say your relationship is with Him, and where do you need to grow in your relationship with God? And as you guys know, you guys been on my channel for a while. You know that I'm a man of God, and that's like the main thing of me in my life, of where I'm able to accomplish all the things that I've been able to accomplish, from a father, an author, to different things that I've done in my life. Like, it's all come from me and a husband, but it all comes from God. God is being the centerpiece. So that's my question I'll throw at you is like, where's your relationship that you have, like your personal relationship with God? Where is it rated? Write it down in your mind, and then think about where you are and where do you need to go to get it to a 10. And that's going to be one of the most important things. And that kind of segues into the second one, which is going to be self-love. And self-love is very important, and because it's a perfect segue from the first one of having that personal relationship with God. Because once you have a personal relationship with God, you understand the love that He has for each and every single one of us. He loves us so much, so then you understand, like, okay, you know what, if God loved me this much and He knows I'm not perfect, and that allows you to be able to think like, okay, I love myself. Like, I have to love myself to the maximum ability because God loves me. He gave His Son for me. So I know I have to love myself in return. I have to know that I'm worthy, because if we weren't worthy enough, then Jesus would have never died for us. And that's big. And again, that goes back to your personal relationship. When you have that true relationship with God, when you've been through different experiences where you could really look at it and say, okay, this was God. God did this in my life. And then you'll truly be able to hear the words that I'm saying, and it'll resonate with you. And if you out there and you've been through different situations and like, wow, this was really God, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's where that self-love comes into place, because now you know your worth. You know that you're already validated. You don't need another person to validate you and say, okay, or if I have a husband, then I'll be complete. Like, no, you should be already complete before you get to your husband. You should be already complete before you get to your wife, because you got God. At the end of the day, once you have God, then you have that true self-love for yourself, to know your validation, to know the validity that you already had, because he would have never did what he did in sacrificing for us if you weren't worthy. So you got to have self-love for number 2. The third thing is being evenly yoked. And this one is very important. I have a lot of conversations with different people that I mentor and just provide advice to them. And I think like this is the biggest thing that I see with a lot of different relationships, is that people are not evenly yoked. Like, they'll go into a relationship and one person is doing this, another person is doing that. And what ends up happening is that the relationship doesn't work out. And then they're like in shambles and like, why is this happening? But if you truly look back at the situation, and I think you have to always look at your relationship or going into a relationship kind of like a job. Like, you're the company. You're your own brand. So if for me, and this is what I did, I'm standing back, I'm interviewing you. Like, if we're going on a date, we having a conversation, I'm asking you questions because I want to truly see your value. I want to look at your resume on paper in black and white without the physical and say, are you matched up to me? Are we in the same place? And even if you're not, you don't have everything I have, or you have things that I don't have, whatever it may be. But if I know that your conversation and your mindset is above that, like you're thinking more advanced in the future of where you're trying to go, but you also have actions towards it, then those are more additional things that I'm adding to it as I'm going through the interview. We having a date, we having a conversation, but I'm asking you questions because I want to know and understand, are you evenly yoked with me? And that kind of goes back to our first two things. Do you have a personal relationship with God? Do you have self-love for yourself? Because those are very important things. How many people have experienced that? And if you have, comment it below. How many people have experienced you get into a relationship with somebody and they expect you to love them like like God already loved them, or they don't even have enough love for themselves. They don't have self-love, so they're expecting so much from you. Like, I shouldn't make you happy by yourself. Like, you should make your own self happy. And those are the things why it's truly important to have someone that's evenly yoked. And it goes back to, like I said, the first two, having that personal relationship. So when I'm talking with the person and I'm trying to get to know them, do you have a personal relationship with God? Because it's going to come a time once you guys come together, you say, hey, we want to build this marriage. We want to build a united front together, and we want to have our kids grow up in this strong household. Okay, maybe if I'm having a bad week, can you pull me up? Or vice versa. If you having a bad week, can I pull you up? That's why it's important to have that personal relationship with God already. That's why it's important to already have self-love, because what if I'm not giving you the love that you need at that point in time, whether we're in an argument or maybe I'm just not fulfilling that for you. Now, because you're not feeling love, now are you going to try to look for somewhere else? Like, that's why it's important to have those two things. We might glaze over them and say, oh, just self-love. Oh, have a relationship with God. But it's important because as different dynamics happen in your marriage, your relationship, things change, and those things become like strong pillars that you have to be able to stand on. So, evenly yoked, that's number 3. The fourth one, maturity. And this is going to be for all different types of maturity that will come in your relationship and your marriage. Because when you get to that point of you're like, say, hey, I'm courting this person. We're going through this situation together. We both saying that we want to be married. It's going to take maturity. And it's from all different facets of maturity. It could be spiritual maturity, financial maturity. And for example, like when you're by yourself, you can stay out all night. You don't have to answer to anybody, because that person that you text on your phone on the weekends or text here and there, you don't have to answer to them. Hey, we not together. Like, oh, chill. You know what I mean? Like, so, but now when you're in a relationship, you married, it's all about maturity. Hey, you know what? Hey, babe, I'm still out with the fellas. I just want to let you know everything was good. I'll probably be back in about 30, 45 minutes. Same thing for the ladies. Hey, what's going on, babe? I'm still out with the girls. We just chilling. Just want to let you know, just to check in. And some people look at that and say, like, I don't want to be with a person where I got to do that. But that's natural. That's what you do in a relationship. It's all about communication. You don't want the other person to feel like, okay, you're not even going to communicate to me. Like, you're not going to tell me what's really going on. Like, so now, as we're by ourselves, when our mind is idle, we're not doing anything. Now your mind begins to wonder, what are they doing? Why are they not communicating with me? Normally when they're out by themselves, they do communicate with me. Now they're not. So those are all the different things that come with it. And then even like I said, financial maturity. That's important because, again, going back to even the yoke, we already know because I'm interviewed you. I know what you bring to the table. What's your credit score like? How much debt do you have before we get into this marriage? Because these are all important things. How do you spend your money? When you get your check, how much of percentage of it do you save? How much do you spend? These are things that you have to have conversations about before you even get to the point of saying like, hey, let's go into marriage. Because if you don't have these conversations, what will end up happening, and God forbid, but it's just the probability of it. Like, you're just setting yourself up for failure because you're not having these conversations, that you're not mature enough in these different parts of your life. And I think just in general, maturity as far as just going into marriage is just so different. Like, there's just things that you have to do as a husband and as a wife. You might not want to do them, but you know that this is what you're supposed to do. And that's where that going all the way back to the first step is having that personal relationship with God. God will convict you when you know you're not doing the right thing as a husband or a wife. You're like, I probably shouldn't have did that. I probably shouldn't have said that to my wife earlier. Let me go back and apologize. Or, hey, you know what? Maybe I should say something more positive to my husband. He has been working really hard for me. He did go through and put that new thing up on the wall for me. Let me just, maybe let me make him lunch and then tell him how much I appreciate him. Just different things like that where it's maturity, where you have to remove pride, because pride will hurt us a lot, because you'll hold on to certain things, and that's how you miss your blessings. So number 4, maturity, and there's all different levels of it. Number 5 is going to be the last one, is going to be commitment. And commitment is so important, and that's why I left it as the final point to make with you guys, is because commitment is very key. When you go through and you find that person, you say, okay, they have a personal relationship with God. They have self-love. They already love themselves before they even know me. They're evenly yoked with me. We both put our resumes together. We both going in the right direction. We both talking the right way, moving the right way, spiritually the right way. Everything is going in the right direction. So we're evenly yoked. Then we're both mature in all facets of our life. Not perfect, but we know where our opportunities are and we're willing to grow. And then that's where the commitment comes in. Because there's going to be times in your relationship when you're challenged. When you're challenged, and the devil will attack us in different ways. He might put different things or obstacles in our way where it's like, okay, you know what? My wife just made me mad. Do I do something that's going to, from my temporary feelings, that's going to be a permanent mistake? That's gonna hinder our relationship moving forward, or vice versa for a woman. Is she gonna do something that's gonna cause detriment to their relationship? And that's where we have to have those conversations to have that true understanding. Like, I'm in this for the long haul. Like, that was one thing that me and my wife talked about when we first started talking and courting each other and just, how figuring each other out. Like, what you bring to the table? She like, what you bring to the table? Like, we having the same conversation. It's like, are you committed? Like, are you committed? I know that when I'm dead and going in the grave, like, I want us to be married. I don't want us to get married to then get divorced. Like, I know it's going to be tough times. I know it's going to be times where you're upset with me. I'm going to be upset with you, or we'll be upset at each other. But at the end of the day, we have to be committed to say, you know what? That's where we strip away the pride. Like, you know what? Maybe I didn't speak to you today, but you know what? Tomorrow, you know what? I was actually wrong. Or maybe, you know what? You realize the big picture and say, you know what? That situation, is it really that serious? And if you guys been in relationships. Sometimes it could be something as simple as leaving the toilet seat up. It could be leaving something unplugged or leaving something running, and it's like, is that really that serious? And then sometimes you have on the other side of the coin where it's something that is very serious. You might have stuff that's going on that's really truly red flags, but at the end of the day, you have to look at it and say, okay, is it worth me going forward? Is it worth it? And if you already done those first 4 steps, you know that it's already worth it. So you have to be committed. You have to be able to persevere through the different things that will come in your relationship, where there may be financial hardships, emotional hardships, spiritual hardships, whatever it may be that will come. You have to be committed. So those are the 5 things that I would say that will prepare you and let you know, are you ready for marriage? I appreciate you guys tagging along, listening to everything that I'm telling you guys. But I would like to hear from you guys. What are, out of these 5 different things, what are something that you would say to yourself that you're most confident that you're doing good? Like, out of these 5, 2 and 3, I'm knocking those out the park. But then also tell me, what things are you actually like working on right now? What are some things that are some opportunities? And then also too, when you put that information in there, you never know, your other person that you're looking for might be in the comments. So just put that information there. Let's start the dialogue up, and be honest, be transparent, because at the end of the day, that's how we're going to continue to grow and evolve as people. But then also too, as our community here on Free Knowledge, like, we want to have conversation that's truly meaningful. I want to have content that you guys can look forward to every week, and just be able to say, wow, you know what, KG gave me something that I need this week. And that's my goal for you guys. So yeah, leave your comments below. Tell me the different things that you're working on. Then also, if you have questions, maybe it's one of these points where you're like, well, how do I get to that point? And I'm here to have that conversation as well. And it might be something that we can elaborate on a future episode. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out this week's episode. If you guys are, going through looking for that significant other, this is definitely great information for you guys. I hope that it's helpful for you. Hope that you guys have a great week as well. Love is love. Peace.